Brain Candy Podcast.
Oh, nice.
Episode 838.
That was like a commercial for if Brain Candy Podcast were a toy. Speaking of, Susie.
What?
I found the Jergens soap commercial that my whole family was in from 1992.
What are you talking about?
And I saved it to my phone to send to you. And
you act
share.
like I knew that you were in a Jergens commercial.
Well, didn't you know that I was like a little kid who did like commercials and stuff like that when she was little?
Definitely not with your whole family, and definitely not enough where you could like find it.
I found it.
And
it's like a split second you could see
where
our
did you
whole
find
family,
it on YouTube?
It was like on some old archive video.
This is incredible.
And so
how old were you?
Like 6.
Well, don't forget to send it.
I'm going to send it to you.
Oh my God. What were you all in the shower? What was happening in this?
No, we were saying like
lotion?
It was something like I like the bubbles or just squeeze it or something like that. Okay.
Wow.
There's like the screen.
Wonder how much you got for that. Did you put that in a trust fund? Where is that money?
I don't have
Where's
it.
your Jergens riches?
I sent you a screenshot of it that was like,
oh my God,
a split second of my whole family there. But I am going to find it, and I did save it. I think I sent it to myself.
Oh my God.
Isn't that funny?
This is so great.
Yeah, and I'm wearing a very similar jean vest, and I still have that vest in my pile of like clothing that we held on to. So,
what do you think it was about you saying that the way I sang that sounded like a toy that made you think of Jergens?
Well, because I was going to say that sounded like the end of like a toy commercial, like if you were singing about.
Wonder if you could find other.
I know, I was thinking that, but then I have to remember what they were, and that's what I can't remember.
I mean, you were endorsing them.
Yeah.
You should have some
really
sort
funny.
of list.
Right, I know. I was just laughing at that. I'm like, oh, there we go. I got the receipts. Because for all the people who are like, what is she talking about?
I cannot believe it. You got to post that. That is a treasure.
Yeah,
I
found it. I don't know when. And I was like, oh, I got to show Susie. Anyways, back to whatever the heck you were talking about before I took
I
a
don't know,
detour
whatever.
to talk about that.
I wish, like, I'm in a bad mood. Who cares?
Oh, Susie, I don't want you to be in a bad mood. I mean, be in whatever mood that you need to be in, because I understand.
Yeah, I think I will, Sarah. But maybe it'll be funny. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we're always extra hilarious when we're feeling down in the dumps.
Things get crazy. That's true.
Can I do anything to turn that frown upside down?
Yep, you already have. Jergens body shampoo, like a dog.
Yeah.
That's so funny because you know how now they call it body wash.
Right. They called it body shampoo at this time. It was like the introduction of body wash. Like they were going from like a bar
you were blazing that trail.
Yes.
Are you somebody that prefers the wash over a bar?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I like the luxurious experience. Well, yeah, I'm all Oak Essentials over here, and I like that.
That's true.
I like that. It. I don't know. I feel like I get more bang for my buck. Mm-hmm. And I'm definitely like the person who like leaves the soap in the bathtub. So
what do you mean? What do most people do?
Put it back on the shower caddy and where it belongs.
Oh.
You know,
you just leave it on like the floor of the.
Well, because I just forget, and then
it's all right. I'm not judging you.
I'm judging me.
It's hard to do that when like my whole operation is on the floor of the.
That is true. You are a bather.
All right. Well, I'm gonna need a bath after this because it's hot as heck in here.
Yeah. The whole world is on fire.
If you're watching, the whole world is on fire.
Yeah, we got the worst air quality in like the history. They're like basically don't go outside.
That's terrible. Yeah, what the heck from the forest fires?
Yeah, from the fires. And then I was doing a podcast with somebody earlier this morning. Somebody else, sorry, Suze, and they said, "Yeah, your audio sounds okay, but you sound like you been smoking 10 packs a day." And I was like. And then Andrea said, our producer said, that's just her regular voice. So it was worse this morning. And it is because of the air quality out here. It is just bad. It's just because I've been breathing in.
I don't think you sound like that.
Well, not now. I've warmed it up and it's fine. But when I first woke up, it was like, because it's like so bad out here. I'm like, Anyways, that's just me.
So sorry.
That's me bitching and whining about things.
That's fine.
You know.
No problem. Let us
What?
learn some things, shall we?
Yes, I love learning. That's also like a commercial.
All right.
My ADHD meds have definitely worn off, and I definitely didn't take my afternoon dose. So this is going to be a
it's
fun
not too
one.
late.
Oh, it is. If I take them right now, I will stay up all night long.
What time do you have to take it? Noon?
Noon.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. So here we go. If I'm all over the place,
let's do it.
You know why? I'm trying to get better at that anyways.
How come you don't take the extended release? You told me, but I forget.
Because that one keeps me up all night. My metabolism is too slow. It doesn't kick in for way long time, and then it still keeps me up super late. Yeah.
Boy.
I just
you neurodivergence. You have a real...
I know. But I got it all sorted out. As long as I take my meds, I'm still good. Nobody would have probably noticed except you. And everybody that I told everybody.
Did you watch Dirty Pop on Netflix?
Ooh, I started to.
Okay.
Yes.
Were you excited to watch it, or were you just like...
Absolutely, I was, because don't you think... I've been talking about this, and that creepy guy, what's his name? Lou Pearlman. We've brought him up multiple times.
I mean...
on this show.
If you said, Suze, draw up a sketch of a complete creep, it would be Lou Pearlman. If you're not familiar, he was the guy who created and managed Backstreet Boys and NSYNC and O-Town and some other lesser-known groups, and ended up being a jerk, creep, weirdo, fraudster,
Even his
con
name.
man.
I'm not saying all Lou's are weirdos, but the ones who aren't go by Luis or something. The Lou's are...
Yeah, it's a red flag.
The male Lou's, the whole package is just not doing it for me. Big old red flags everywhere. And just a desire to be around either young boys or teenage girls, because that's the fan base. So either one, anytime there's an adult male that's like, I'm really connected to the teenage fan base,
Trouble.
All my sensors go off, and it's like emergency, emergency, emergency. Same as that creep with the Nickelodeon.
Right.
It's the same vibe.
Yes, Dan Schneider.
Yeah.
That is exactly right.
Schneider, they're both their names sound like, again, not all Schneiders, but the other one doesn't sound like that.
Yeah, I mean, even during the heyday of NSYNC and Backstreet, if you took one look at this guy and you were like, that is questionable. Yeah. But he ended up, making it big, of course, but then essentially running a pyramid scheme with investors and stuff like that, and ended up in jail.
I didn't know he ended up in jail.
Oh, yeah. He died in prison.
Oh, spoiler alert. No.
Boy, I thought that was like...
No, I was halfway paying attention. I remember I was cooking while I'm trying to watch this, and I just turned it off because I wasn't paying attention. But here we are.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I do find any kind of manufactured musical group fascinating, because this is just sort of... They're clearly talented. The vocals, the dancing, the charisma, the handsome looks, whatever. But it's, the audition for... Even the Spice Girls were like that. They had auditions, then they
It's a formula that works.
Yes.
That we know. We absolutely know the formula works. It's like a question of just because you can doesn't mean you should.
It's almost always just something where these kids get taken advantage of, their families get taken advantage of. Why, though? I would have to read scholarship on fanaticism and fandom to understand it. But if you just off the top of your head, as we do, what do you think it is about girls that is so different from, maybe straight boys or like typical
I don't
boys?
think it's that different. I think you see the same thing in sports.
Okay, but they're not into girls. They idolize like the men, right?
Yeah. But I think it's...
when they saw Britney Spears, like I'm sure they wanted to bang her or whatever, but they weren't going to put posters all over their room and like fantasize about marrying them.
I think it's in the same way that it's aspirational. In some way, whether it's I want to be close to these boys that are on stage, or I want to be Britney Spears, or whatever it may be. In the same way that maybe because of how we're socialized, little boys think, I want to be like Mike.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think you see the same fanaticism, if that's a word.
It's just weird to me because every girl that I know of had some group or what crush, like, that they were just, like, obsessed with.
Okay. Here's Sarah's got a theory. So, but we know that boys tend to relate to their world in a more physical way. Mm. So maybe they connect to that sports fandom and they feel like they see themselves in those players and those heroes because they connect to their world in a more physical way, where music is very emotional and very emotion driven. And so maybe the females are connecting to women, little girls are connecting to the emotions.
Yeah.
Because that's how they experience their world. And it's just how we feel and experience our environment, whether it's on an deeper emotional way or in a more physical way. That's my theory. What do you think?
But I guess I think you're right. It just seems so strange to me that, like, I'll give you an example. Even when we were at the Taylor Swift concert, Link didn't want to post any videos or anything on his Snapchat or whatever he uses because that's like a girl thing, is to go to a Taylor Swift concert. Even though the girls would love it to see that you're at it, it doesn't matter.
Well, that's because he's getting the messages from everybody around him. He's looking around, and the majority of the people there doing that are girls. And so at any time,
because
children
presumably they are attracted to these women, like Taylor Swift, Britney Spears, whoever.
But I think at that age, they're not thinking about that as much as they're thinking about identity. And so I think...
So just girls are thinking about that? Because we are thinking about marrying these Harry Styles or...
But I think that's the identity as a wife or as a mother.
Mm-hmm. It must be.
Because the boys are probably thinking, oh, I'm going to be like this and maybe I'll get a bunch of girlfriends. Mm-hmm. They're thinking about it in a different way. I see that fandom as like that is almost like an exploration of identity. And maybe when you see more pushback from little boys of like, no, that's a girl thing, or little girls like, no, that's for boys, when they're working to define their own identity, like, who am I and what's for me and what's not. So people lean.
I was trying to think.
hard.
I don't have any musical people that I was like that about. Do you? When you were growing up, was it New Kids on the... No, you were too young.
No, I was too young for that. NSYNC was definitely high on the list.
For real?
I went and saw
NSYNC.
Justin was... Oh. Yeah, I did like the front man. Like, but I never was like that. I never had like a crush. It was not like that. It was more like I want to be them. It was which one would you be? It is not which one would you. I never had crushes on those guys like that. I can tell. I was very. I know the high school. I know who I had crushes on. Jonathan Taylor Thomas. The Andrew Keegan.
Yeah.
The guy who played Rufio in Hook. And
so obscure.
Max, the cartoon dog that is the son of Goofy from a Goofy movie.
I think you could definitely date these people. I'm telling you what, once they get a hold of that Jergens commercial, I mean, they should be running after you, Sarah. Wow.
Yeah, we connect on our childhood stardom.
You really like the underdogs.
Yeah.
That is so funny.
So, I know, but none of them, I never got like that over musician. I think the only one I did get like that, this is definitely going to point out all my queerness, is Ani DeFranco.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a whole thing.
That's the whole thing. I was like in love. I was married to her in my mind. Like I was, oh my God. Don't even get me started. And a little Fiona Apple too. So it was like that.
Wow.
That is who.
Yeah,
actually, that probably tells me a little bit of something about something.
Yeah. Because if you think about it, like, even when girls go to see Taylor, the way that they act is like a love. Yeah. I know what you're saying about aspiration, because clearly that's part of it.
Right.
But it's almost the same as if they saw Justin Timberlake or...
Yeah. It is a love.
It's so funny.
Like, I want to be best friends with her.
Yeah. Yeah, she's like a god, kind of. It's wild.
Yeah.
But, so this Lou Pearlman bozo completely exploits that, whatever that evolutionary thing is that makes girls kind of lose their marbles.
And it has been, like, my mom did that for the Beatles.
Yes.
And she said she was the ones that were, like, fainting. And my aunt did it for Elvis. And she talks about that. So it feels like it's been there for a long time.
It must be some sort of weird biological tick of that age and whatever's happening in our bodies. Because, it is not sane.
It's not.
And it doesn't go away. Like those ladies that go to those throwback concerts, they're in like their 40s and they are still like losing it.
Yep. I get that. Yeah, well, they say, your first love.
Yeah. Sticks with ya.
It does.
I'll tell you what else sticks with me, and that's Lumi deodorant because, my God.
Shout out to Lumi.
Shout out to Lumi.
For getting me through all of camp.
Oh, my gosh. I bet all the campers would like to thank Lumi on your behalf as well.
And when I say I put it to the test,
I bet.
There were definitely, I went like, I did the 72 hours. When they say last 72 hours,
you tested it.
Used all 72
Market
of those
research
hours.
Over here.
Yep. Yeah. And my favorite, those wipes, the acidified wipes that will neutralize.
Yeah.
And I mean neutralize, like no more smell.
Yeah.
And not just cover it up so that it smells like BO with flowers on top or whatever, which is the worst.
I know somebody that does like that trick.
Fresh cucumber scent. It smells like nothing. And I used that on all my bits when I was at camp.
That's the beauty of it. You can put it anywhere on your body. It's not limited to armpits. Any part of your body that stinks, you can put it on. That's pretty magical.
Yep. Feet were a big one.
Oh.
I was wearing the same pair of gross shoes the whole time.
Yeah.
That then I threw away. They were that disgusting.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's how we do after the challenge. I always end up throwing everything away because it's like
so
ruined.
Gross. So thank you, Lumi.
But thankfully, we won't stink thanks to Lumi. They have a deal for us. It's a special offer. New customers get 15% off all Lumi products. Lumi Starter Pack is perfect for new customers. Comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, like a mini body wash or deodorant wipes, like Sarah said, and free shipping. As a special offer for listeners, new customers get 15% off all Lumi products with our exclusive code. And if you combine the 15% off with the already discounted starter pack, that equals over 40% off their starter pack. Use code BRAINCANDY15 for 15% off your first purchase at LumiDeodorant.com. That's code BRAINCANDY15 at LumiDeodorant.com.
Yeah, get the wipes.
All right. I mean, I liked the Dirty Pop, but I mean, it is what it is. It's not like breaking new ground.
Yeah, and I feel like when, in a way, it's not like justice has been served, but like knowing that he's, dead and went to jail.
And he was unrepentant.
Oh.
He's one of those. He doesn't think he did anything wrong.
Of course.
They think they deserve like all the riches that they stole and stuff. And some guy, he had no impact on a lot of people's lives in terrible ways, and he did not care.
Yeah. How
Sociopath.
Gross. Yeah.
Okay.
Gross.
Okay, so on my 30 for 30 journey, I watched one recently. I think it was called Brian and the Boz. Okay, so this football player named Brian, I forget his last, Bosman maybe. He was like this really handsome linebacker who played in college, became really good, and then sort of developed this persona that he called the Boz, B-O-Z. And he had like bright yellow, white hair, and like he would shave the sides and add colors. He was very, kind of like Dennis Rodman.
I was just going to say,
yes. But
yeah,
like,
there's a few who have done this.
In the 80s, and so like it was something that people really didn't do, especially not linebackers.
Wow. Yeah.
And he was really like ballsy. They said nobody took their helmet off faster than the Boz, so like he wanted people to see him. He wanted to be on TV. He really knew how to leverage like the cameras and the interviews, and would say like provocative stuff, whatever. And the only reason I wanted to talk about it with you is because, as things always do, it reminds me of reality TV because there's often people who go on the show and then realize that, like, if you sort of like play up certain elements of your personality.
Yes, become an exaggerated version of yourself.
Yeah, and maybe come up with a nickname.
I could think of about 5 off the top of my head.
And you sort of embrace like maybe like the wrestling side of things where it's like a theatrical.
Yes.
That, you can get a lot of attention. Maybe you can get like deals, more sponsors and stuff like that. And back then this was new. Okay. But the problem was it's almost like, and we've seen this on reality TV, like he almost like started to become the persona.
Well,
And
because that is what is getting rewarded.
Yes.
That's what's getting the attention. That's what's getting the positive feedback that's reinforcing those behaviors. So you would, if you get the attention, everything you want when you act as that character, why would you
be boring old Brian?
Be anybody else?
Yeah. Right.
That's why I've always said you have to really know your identity, like have a strong identity and know who you are when you go on reality television and have really strong connections and people who know you outside of that can remind you of and reinforce the more authentic self. Because if not, you will become the character, and that does have an expiration date.
That's right. Right. And that's what this sort of was. It's like a warning about what can happen if you lean into that, because it might get you everything you wanted for a time. But in his case, he got drafted into the NFL, played a couple seasons, got an injury, and that was it. And
man, and that is
brutal.
A dragon slayer in a world of no dragons is a sad individual.
Yeah, and I would say desperate.
Ooh, yes.
And Sarah and I have been dealing with somebody from the challenge who keeps talking about us publicly, and it smells of this.
Yeah.
Where
so sad.
Those phone calls aren't coming anymore.
Right.
And you don't have anything else going on. And you are just clinging to this thing that is over.
And in a way, you're willing to, and this is survival. You can understand it. It's how these individuals feel they need to survive, or what these people feel they need to do to survive. So if you tell them to not do that, it appears as a threat to their survival. And
you're the enemy.
Right.
Yeah.
So I totally understand that it's crazy behavior.
And so, like,
something people need to talk to a therapist about.
And in, the case of the person that's doing it to us, like, it can amount to tweets or whatever and saying things recklessly. But in his case, he signs a book deal and tells all these stories in his book that all his teammates are like, why would you tell that about us? Like, why would you try to just take...
That's
it's like
awful.
He wanted this thing so bad that it didn't matter if someone got hurt.
Right. You're willing to... that was the point I was going to make. You're willing to sacrifice other people because that safety is... your own protection is the thing that matters most, and this is the way that you feel you need to protect that self.
Yeah. So he's in it, and he's, he talks about his regrets and the mistakes he made. It's not as if he's defending it now. He's learned.
Right.
But,
good.
Yeah. So imagine what he would have been like if they had social media back then.
Oh, my God.
Oh, Lord. Okay.
Right.
But anyway, I just wanted to say that because, boy, when you see a lot of sports stuff reminds me of things from the challenge because there's a lot of similarities and overlap. So that's
Absolutely.
Why. All right.
In so many ways.
Let's talk about dreams. I love talking about dreams.
Me too. Love.
You say you sometimes lucid dream, right?
I wouldn't say no. I would say that I have made attempts and efforts. I would say that I have had out-of-body experiences.
Oh, yeah. What's that? Is there a name for that, or is it just called out-of-body
I think
sleep
that.
or something? Yeah.
And it's a very specific physiological feeling that goes with it. But I don't have the ability to control my dreams or anything like that.
They do say that you can, like, try and develop it if, like, someone wants to learn.
Yeah, but every time I try, I end up having an out-of-body experience or sleep paralysis, because sleep paralysis for me is like a stepping stone on the way to lucid dreaming or an out-of-body experience, but I get stuck there. And
oh, God. Okay, don't do
it's happened like 4 times, and I'm like, nah, I don't want to do this anymore. So I've given up.
If you had to guess, I'm sure you could, the most common type of dream.
Okay.
Like theme of the dream. What do you think is happening in the dream? I would maybe like flying would have been one of my top guesses.
I would say an embarrassing moment.
Oh, yeah. I have a lot of those. It's actually falling.
Oh, well, obviously. Yeah. That sensation, everybody knows that.
It's terrible.
I hate it. That little jerky move that you do.
Yeah.
There's something biological. There's got to be something to that, right?
I'm sure. Yeah, there has to be. Because it is, what they say is about babies, it's one of the few like instincts we're actually born with, sucking and then fear of falling. Like they have a sense of like the edge of things.
Yes.
Okay, so that's the most common theme. I would
hardly classify that as, I know they do, sorry to interrupt, but I feel like that falls into a different category of dream, because there are those dreams that are like more thematic and happen in a different like state of your brain.
Yeah.
Those ones the falling dreams seem to happen right when you're falling asleep in that transition. Yeah.
Right. It's not like you're just sitting around dreaming about falling forever. It's just like a moment. Right.
Yeah.
The embarrassing thing is, I freaking hate that.
The jerk?
It said in the article how people dream about losing their teeth, the teeth falling out, which I dream all the time.
Oh, okay. What kind? Do all of yours come out together, or do they chip and break apart?
They crumble in my hands.
Oh!
And they all fall into my hand like a weirdo. The hell
Mine
is that
all
about?
come out together like dentures in chunks. We're like 4 at a time.
That's terrible.
It's horrible.
Oh my God.
So
what
is yours.
causes it in your dream, though, do you think?
I don't know. I think it's usually stress. Like when there's something that I haven't dealt with. And
because in the article this was in the New York Times, they were acting like, yeah, we don't know. I'm like, we know
it's stress. I can always point to it. Whenever I feel stuck or trapped in a relationship, I start dreaming of the International Space Station.
Oh my God.
We all know that.
Right. I mean, I think we all know about our own, why it causes it. Maybe not for everyone, but if my teeth are falling out in a dream, I know why.
What is yours?
Like stress and anxiety.
Yeah, just that. Right. Nothing specific, but
they say that an average person dreams how much in one night? Would you guess?
Oh, how like hours or times?
Oh, like amount of time.
In actual time, not in numbers of dream cycles, right?
Correct.
Okay. 3 hours? No, 2 hours?
Yeah, 2 to 3 hours, Sarah.
That's what it feels like to me.
Wow, you get a real workout. I thought that sounded so high.
Because I go in and out of sleep often through the night.
They say people like that tend to remember their dreams more, too.
And I can kind of track how many hours I've been asleep or what, and it feels like about 2 or 3 in between those. It's basically like I'm waking up each REM cycle, which isn't good. I wish I could sleep through it. It's menopause.
You gotta pee?
No, it's just...
I love that was offensive.
I know. I don't know why, because that would totally make sense too. I don't know why I said it like that. Yeah, that could be that. It's not that. I wish it were that.
Maybe you wish.
I wish it were that, because then I could point to a reason. Nope. It's just that we're awake.
Yeah. God, hormones.
Oh,
men. You suck. Okay. What percentage of dreams would you guess are nightmares for most people?
Oh, my instinct is 28%.
Wow. 10 to 15. I love the specificity, though.
Mine's a little more. I don't know. That popped in my head. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe for you it is. Yeah. Maybe you have like.
Do they mention anything about what causes nightmares, or
they didn't?
If there's any Why?
But they did say this might be a clue.
Why don't they say that in the article, Susan?
They say, however, that the number of nightmares, the percentage decreases over our entire lifetime.
I do
so
feel
you have
that
the most as a child.
I do feel like I don't have them nearly as frequently. And maybe that's your brain making sense of things.
Yeah.
And making connections, because that's what people theorize dreams are.
Right.
Is the brain doing kind of synaptic pruning and cutting away things that don't make sense or don't connect. And it would make sense that our brain would see anything that has a peculiar connection as new and therefore scary, and might log that as a nightmare.
Yeah.
And so the brain goes in and goes, oh, nope, we don't need to make that a thing. And snip, snip, snip.
Mm-hmm. And it makes total sense to
Total
me.
sense
Because everything really is scary when you're a kid.
Yeah. And then you have the explanation and you're not scared. Right.
What percentage of dreams do you think are erotic in nature?
Oh.
I wish more.
5 to 10%.
That's correct. 8%.
Am I love playing these games. This is the best. This is my favorite thing. I love it.
And do you think that's true for you too? 5 to 10%?
Yeah, I wish it were more.
Me too. Wow.
But I would say it's on the low side now. But I haven't had one in a minute.
Sense. Mm-hmm. This one statistic, it was a quiz. So when you go through New York Times, the article or whatever, but it's really just like a quiz and then a paragraph explanation.
Oh, I like that.
So it was saying, is anything possible in dreams? Yes or no? And the answer is
no.
Yeah.
Only. What do you mean?
That's what it said. No.
It says no. Here's why.
Okay.
Only what is aware to the dreamer is possible in dreams.
Okay, and here's what I actually really loved. I'm going to read this because I thought this was so interesting. It was explaining in detail that this one study they did, this guy found that when there are items or people in your dreams that are transformed into something else, they even though they're transforming, which isn't possible in real life, it still remains in the same family of items. So like a truck might become a motorcycle, or a person might become a different person.
Or an animal.
But like a person doesn't become like a toaster or something.
Yeah.
Which to me, it doesn't show that it's not possible. It's just,
right. I think more of it, I think of it as I am not going to dream something that is not within my conscious awareness or even unconscious awareness.
You're not making
like
shit
somebody
up.
On the other side of the planet, somebody in India who has a very different experience in the world and has seen different things. And
yeah, it's informed by your lived experience.
That your dreams are informed by and whatever you've seen, lived experience. That could be on television, that could be in books you've read, whatever it is, something that has triggered a firing of certain cells in your brain together. And that cluster and combination is going to be very different than somebody with a totally different experience, or even just person to person. Mine is going to be different than yours. I don't have any of that history of being a child of religion in the same way. I'm not going to dream about those things.
I've had plenty of dreams where my teeth fall out, but I have never had a dream where my hair fell out. Although I probably should have, because as all of you know, there was the hair disaster of 2022 where my stylist made half of my hair fall out of my head. So now I'm treating it with only the best. And thanks to Miss Jennifer Aniston, I have been able to do that with Lola V. Freaking love this stuff. If we weren't having a power cut right now, Sarah would be here to tell you that she freaking loves this stuff too. They have this magical B Pro 3 bond technology. That might sound fancy, but all I know is it works like magic. The shampoo, the conditioner, the leave-in, the detangler, amazing stuff. They have some sort of proprietary technology. It's fancy, but it smells like a dream. This stuff is so good. I'm so glad we get to use it. You will love it. They have a deal for our listeners. Check out all Lola V products at your local local Ulta Beauty location to experience a luxurious scent for yourself, or head directly to their website at lolav.com. As our loyal listeners, you get an exclusive 15% off your entire order when you use code BRAIN at checkout. That's 15% off your order at LOLAVIE.com with promo code BRAIN. Please note you can only use one promo code per order, and discounts can't be combined. After your purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Your hair will thank you. Okay, we had a power outage.
Yes.
So our discussion about dreams was rudely interrupted.
Oh, that's right. I was wondering where we left off.
And, okay, I don't even know where I left off, really, but another...
I know. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. I remember I was just saying that even the difference between your dreams and my dreams, because of our different childhood experiences and the possibilities of what you and I would dream, is like everybody's dream is their own unique experience.
Yeah. Yeah, right. And it's based on what you have familiarity with.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I think it's interesting that men and women tend to have different kinds of dreams. They said that men tend to dream. There were two topics that they dream about more. Care to venture a guess? I don't know if this is guessable, but maybe.
Is it going to be more of the sex dreams?
No, but that
so not like that. Okay, so
it's
more
not that.
different. A topic that they dream about more. Money.
That's such a good guess. It's actually insects.
What? Susie,
I do notice
if I had 1,000,000 guesses, I don't know if I would have pulled up insect.
I might get in the category of animals, because I do know that when Adam has a nightmare, there's usually some like dragon or something. Like a mythical creature. Maybe it's the video game thing.
Bizarre. No,
and then
that wouldn't explain insects. Right,
Guns,
yeah. Maybe.
Right.
But insects? No. Nope. Is it because they're like the bug killers in the house, or get that?
Right. That's unless
strange.
It's like a humongous insect. I don't understand it. And then the second thing they dream about is natural disasters. That maybe fits in what you're saying, like where they have to like prepare for an emergency.
It seems like a prepper, like I got to protect the family kind of thing. Like.
And the theme that women tend to dream about more is funny. It is arguing. That tracks.
That is very funny that women are dreaming about arguing.
Like relationships, that's it. Okay. And men are dreaming about safety.
Yeah, the physical world and the emotional world. It's still the same.
I want someone to explain this, though.
I do too. And I want to know.
Sense.
Here's the thing that I have to know when all these dream studies come out, where I always feel like I want more information, or I feel like they're not giving me the full story, because I need to know more about the individual's day and what the individual is going
You want to get to know them a little bit.
Yes. To know the context of the dream, like to know what that thing represents.
This is a classic therapist request. You just want to know more context.
This is a classic therapist request. I should definitely make a sticker that says, "Tell me more about that."
Do you say it a lot?
All the time.
Do they tell you to say that?
No, I just am curious and I need to know more about that and how I go. That's interesting. Tell me more about that.
I read this article that was saying that the newest phrase in like weird ass, annoying corporate speak, you know how they say things like circle back and dumb shit like that?
Synergy.
Let's put a pin in that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the latest one is double click. So they'll be like, double click on that and tell me more. Like when you want to explore something.
I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate it. Oh, God, I hate it so much.
Pepper that into one of your sessions.
No. Kill me now. No, that is no.
I just want to double click on it real quick.
Oh.
Yeah. So, okay.
No, I do not like that one.
Okay, let me see if I have anything more about dreams.
Trying to be playful, but like, don't be playful.
Yeah, it's not cute.
It's not. I don't know.
The last thing I want to say about dreams is that the National Science Foundation found that when researchers gave audio cues to lucid dreamers, the dreamers were able to respond using eye movements while remaining asleep, and they were even able to solve a math problem, specifically, what is 8 minus 6? Are you kidding me?
I heard this. Isn't that wild?
Lucid people are like sending messages with their eyeballs.
Isn't that wild? That's, again, how powerful our brain is.
I don't like it.
I know.
Because that means your brain's doing shit when you're not even aware.
Yep. Sure does mean that.
Like math problems.
You can draw a lot of conclusions from that we are...
Okay, that's my story about that.
I like that. I love exploring dreams, and we don't know anything about them. Yes.
One of my favorite things that you taught us about on the Brain Candy podcast previously was that woman who was able to smell
I knew you were
Parkinson's.
Going to say that. Yep. Yeah.
That,
fascinating.
Totally. Okay, so if you did not listen to that episode probably 7 years ago, Sarah told us about this lady who had known that she had a really sensitive sniffer, and it, ran in her family, and I think they call them like hyper, let me see what it's called. Hyper smellers.
Yeah.
And then she noticed one day her husband came home from work and he had a different smell about him. And even after he showered and stuff, it didn't go away. And that just was his smell from then on. And then he had, about 10 years after that, been diagnosed with Parkinson's. And how Parkinson's, we often think about it as like a motor issue where, your mobility and your movements are altered. Mm-hmm. But I mean, the worst symptoms of it are actually neurological. And so like often your personality changes.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
And so he became like an exhibitionist and was doing all kinds of inappropriate things at parties and stuff. Why don't they talk about that symptom?
Oh my gosh. Isn't it crazy when you hear these stories and they never you're like, oh,
yeah, why are you burying the lead on Parkinson's people? Anyway, so he was having issues with this, and so she convinced him to go to a support group for people with Parkinson's. Mm-hmm. And then when they went, every goddamn person at this meeting had the same smell. Uh-huh. And that's how she put two and two together and realized, OMG, I smelled his Parkinson's 10 years before he was even diagnosed. Oh, okay. And Sarah told us this part. Sarah told us that once doctors became aware of this, she was in a study and had to smell shirts and identify which of them had Parkinson's. And remember how she only got one wrong? Uh-huh. And then 10 years later, they were diagnosed with Parkinson's?
Yeah.
And so, they were like, holy shit, she got nothing wrong.
Yeah, nothing wrong.
She can sniff out like a goddamn dachshund or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I don't know why the New York Times just did a profile on her, and it was really long and interesting, mainly because of all of his symptoms being like fucking crazy ass, like, weird behavior stuff. And I was just like, it really affected me that we aren't kind of tapping into this more. Clearly, there's lots of people that can smell stuff.
The smell and think,
right? And I wanted to know, because remember how
people don't even know that they have these gifts.
Yeah, like if you're a super smeller, get sniffing.
Get to sniffing. And that's why, we all know, like animals can do it.
Exactly. And there's all these historical records from like ancient Greece when they would be like, this person has like fucking tuberculosis because they smell like burnt ashes or whatever. God. Like, it's almost like we've killed our noses and now we can't do it.
Yeah.
My
gosh. What if that is...
Yeah. Like back in the day, they could sniff it out.
Mm-hmm. That would make sense. Okay.
And do you remember you told us that I'm just repeating some of this
I love
content.
this. Look, and remember, this is how my brain works. Thank you for taking everybody on a nice little road trip through my mind, because this is exactly what it feels like in there.
Like,
okay, remember this one thing we talked about in that one episode, and then we go, and then remember this. Okay, but like, don't forget about that, because I'm gonna then connect to this thing from another episode. Got it? Stick with me. That's what it is like.
Anytime I don't have time to prepare, I'm just gonna be like, remember that time you talked about whatever? That was awesome. Okay, well, anyway, so she can smell it, and I feel like we should make other people do it. And this could be a real boon for the medical community. But anyway, you taught us that she can smell it. Like if she's walking down the street, she can smell if you have Parkinson's, but she won't ambush people. She won't tell them because like maybe they don't want to know. Would you want to know?
Yep, 100%.
Why?
Because then I think you could start doing things.
I know, me too.
Whatever that may be. I don't know.
Maybe. I feel like it depends on the disease, because in Parkinson's, I would say absolutely.
Yeah.
But I had read this separate article in the New York Times about, like 23andMe and all the DNA tests and how you can now check the box if you want to know if you have like a gene that makes you predisposed to get certain things.
Yeah, I got one for macular degeneration.
What are you going to do?
I mean, I'm doing the stuff. I get my eyes tested every year, and they do like it's like glaucoma testing in a way. Like they do that, like the puff of air thing. And then I'll start taking, they said at age 40, which is like right around the corner, start taking a medication like called Preservision.
That's
Not
great.
But
okay, good for you. She's troubleshooting over there.
And just stay on it and monitor it. But but I wanted to know.
Evidently, one of the options on these DNA tests is Alzheimer's and dementia. And doctors say do not pick it because there is nothing. They say there is nothing you can do, and that all it does is cause stress and worry, and it could actually like become self-fulfilling.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to know for that.
Me neither.
Because there's nothing that I'm going to adjust about my life that I'm not doing already.
Yeah.
For general health and well-being and longevity.
Right, and so all you would do is every time you forgot something, you'd be like, there it is, I'm dying.
I'm good. Nope, thanks.
Okay, because then after that, I don't know why dementia topics just keep rolling in, but I read about this family in Colombia who had a really strong genetic thing with dementia. And I think they're in a tribe. They were in a tribe. And I think they agreed to do like the ladies you mentioned last time and donate their brains and all that.
Yeah.
So they pretty much all had early onset, died super young. And then this one member of the family didn't get it. And he was killing it. But whatever, he still donated his brain. And they found when they cut that thing open, it was riddled with the dementia or Alzheimer's or whatever, the plaque and all the holes and stuff.
Yeah.
But he had no symptoms because he had this gene that produced this protein called reelin.
Oh, I love these kind of stories.
I'm telling you.
This is cool. Yep, this is how we
cool.
find the cure. This is how cures happen.
So thanks for them donating those brains, those nuns.
Dude,
and
that is
this
awesome.
Family. It's awesome because you can buy reelin supplements.
Oh, shit.
Right?
Yeah, you gotta take that.
It's on my grocery list as we speak.
Oh, I gotta put it on mine.
I'm telling you because if I can just take a little bit of Vegemin.
Yeah. Sign me up. Let's go.
So obviously they're going to keep studying, but that's great progress. It's a protein.
And it is like that protein. It's all related to that. Everything I hear about Alzheimer's. So, okay, this is very good to know. Look at that. In the last 2 episodes, we've given you 2 positive stories about Alzheimer's and dementia, things that we often fear. So there's reasons to be hopeful. This is very good.
And to be honest with you, even though if I ever had that, it would be really sad. The real people that I feel bad for are the caregivers because holy heck, is that rough.
Yep, absolutely.
I read this really poignant essay by a husband whose wife had early onset, and he described it in a way, very candid, which I so appreciate because you know that it's not like fun to say that the person was annoying and
right.
It made you like kind of resentful towards them and, all the kind of true dark feelings.
Yes, right. It can make them feel like a failure. Yeah.
Because they were saying there's this popular, I don't know if it's a hashtag or sort of an online movement where it's like living my best life with dementia or whatever. For these people that have it and don't have a lot of symptoms and want to say like, hey, you can live a really great life even if you have it. Like, he's like, I get why that's a nice thing, but like when you're not experiencing that, it feels like a lie and it feels like a slap in the face. And
and that's only a small snapshot of that experience, because there can be moments of times where people are more lucid or more with it and don't have the symptoms, and then certain other times when
that is the weirdest part for me.
It's exacerbated. Yeah, like when the sun goes down, evening.
But one challenge that he had that I didn't even know could be a problem is that he was in the UK, but she had early onset. So like when it was time to get her into like a facility, that most places that would typically take someone in that condition are nursing homes, for older people. And they actually don't allow younger
age
patients.
Requirement, or age.
Because they can like kick the shit out of everybody. Like physically, they're
God,
so,
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, like they're so strong and like they have this health in other ways that make them like a liability and a danger. What?
I never thought about that. That makes a lot of sense, though. I can see.
Why did you think they had an age requirement? You just
I don't know. Just like to avoid
weirdness.
People just taking advantage of a system or something. I don't fucking know. I have no idea.
Yeah.
And they usually, I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah, I didn't even know they I mean, I guess it makes sense, but it just didn't occur to me they would have to put a rule like that in place.
It totally makes sense.
Any hoodles. So there's all your dementia content for the year, because I'm sorry I had to offload it.
Well, thank you. I'm so informed.
Okay, since you had a nun story, I'm going to see your nun story and raise you a fertility story.
Oh, okay. All right.
This was in Vanity Fair a couple months ago, and it was about how 100 nuns, it sounds like a joke.
Right.
100 nuns had to create 30,000 liters of pee that were then used to develop IVF treatments, medicines.
What?
Yeah, because they needed these.
Tell me how.
This doctor found out, I do not know why he even tested this, but he found out that when he injected mice with the urine of menopausal women, that it made the mice ovulate.
Shut the front door.
For real.
Hang on.
Yeah.
The urine of menopausal mice.
No.
Women.
Well, urine
women.
of menopausal
urine
women.
of menopausal women stimulated ovulation in mice.
Yeah. Why?
Okay.
I do not know.
Okay. That is wild. This really is like, I could just imagine like the old sages, like, like you go to the old witch doctor lady who's like, I'll get you pregnant. And she does some weird fucking thing, like
with
peas
like
on your,
and berries. Yeah.
And like
peas,
and next thing you know, you're pregnant and nobody knows why, but.
So the reason why they had to be menopausal,
I love this. This is very good for our brand.
Is that there could be absolutely no chance that the pea had pregnant anything in it.
Yeah.
Because this is all going into the same batch. It would ruin the whole thing. So it had to be people who had no chance of being pregnant whatsoever. And so they chose menopausal nuns. It was like a double trouble.
Right. It's like wearing 2 condoms, but would it happen with any woman's urine, or like does it not happen if there are those proteins or whatever that's in the urine?
They kept emphasizing the menopausal, but then when it described the explanation, it seemed like they just needed non-pregnant.
Right. So like to control that variable.
But that could be wrong. All I know is
fascinating.
These ladies peed up a storm and basically changed the world. Wow. And it's so funny because, you think most likely they agreed to participate because producing children is part of what most religions want.
Yes.
You want more kids and pro-life, whatever. But now this would never happen because, IVF and all the ethics of like, what's a person? And then, Alabama is it that said that embryos are people now, so you can't get IVF there, all that jazz. But at this time, this was 70 years ago, they were just trying to make babies, man.
Wow. That is an amazing story.
Yeah, it was a beautiful article in Vanity Fair, and it was so long, and I was in a hurry, and I'm trying to get all the info, and I'm like, there's too much. There's so much history included, and the details of like what goes into the pee and the IVF stuff.
I can't wait to read it. I'm so interested in all of that.
Because they did say that like one thing they don't really talk about with infertility is like the solutions involve a lot of pee. I guess you got to pee on a lot of things, and you got to give it to the doctor, collect samples.
Yeah, that's funny.
I never knew that. Yeah. But thanks to those nuns for their urine.
Oh my gosh. I am fascinated by this. That I think that there's something to that. It's interesting.
It's wild. Man, it's amazing to me that they figure these things out, and then it's always also amazing that there aren't better ways to do things. I had to get blood drawn the other day, and I said to the lady, there has got to be a better way. Like we put a man on the moon, beep, beep, beep. Yeah. And then my nephew goes, when I was retelling the story, he's like, what would be a better way? How else are they going to get it out? And Adam goes, you ever get a nosebleed? That doesn't hurt. And that blood just pours out.
Right.
And I go, yeah, I bleed once a month and it doesn't hurt too bad. Right. You know what I mean? Like there are ways. Let's work on it.
Yeah. And I feel like there's something I read recently about being able to detect cervix cancer and some other cancers from menstrual blood.
No.
That they're developing tests from that where all you have to do is give a sample of that and take a sample, send it in somewhere, and I just read that like last week.
While we're sitting around fighting over fucking whatever abortions or whatever we're mad about.
Our urine creates life.
Yeah, the scientists are in their labs doing all the hard work, making progress, and we're just over here bitching.
Peeing on things.
Anyway, thanks, science. We love you.
Fascinating story, Suze. Love it.
Thank you. Thanks
really interesting.
So much. I will just say one more thing, and then we can move on with our lives. There was a documentary I watched on Max yesterday. It was called Mama's Boy, and it was about the guy that wrote the screenplay for the Harvey Milk movie, Milk.
Oh, yeah.
About the gay activist. Well, he was a gay guy, but anyway, he grew up in a Mormon home. And he was telling the story of growing up in the Mormon church and in this family that had a lot of trauma and difficulties knowing that you were gay. And just that is something that I can only imagine.
Yeah.
And I just cannot believe how strong that is and how that is really not going away. The sort of fear about homosexuality and gender, whatever.
Yeah.
And it's power, it's hierarchy. There's so many things about it. But I would recommend that film if you are interested in hearing the point of view of somebody who grew up in that way and then became very successful and out and making art about the gay experience.
You know how we read Cue the Sun and it talked about John Murray and how he watched the
American
family that had a gay son that wasn't really out, and he became almost like fascinated with exploring that and that story. And I can see how somebody who repressed a lot of feelings finds an outlet and finds comfort in researching and learning all they can about a historical figure from that time or somebody involved in a movement, because you can almost say, oh, I'm doing it for research purposes.
Yeah.
Rather than I'm doing it because it speaks to my soul and who I am. And
it's just like, it must be a really terrifying thing to have something just fundamental about you. Let's say like your eye color, like, or something private. I don't know what else you could think of, but something like that. That's just like how you are. And then being told that that thing makes you gross or evil or a problem. And like you didn't do anything to cause it. It must be really scary for kids.
Yes.
Because that language exists in most, conservative.
Anybody who falls into any minority group, I feel like.
Well, the thing is, though, this says that you're sinful, not just inferior, but sinful and evil.
Yes, the sexual preferences and gender, all that's everything related to sex and gender and presentation, and all of that is extra layered.
Polio, and so she had walked with what are those, not crutches, what are the arm ones,
braces?
Yeah, walked with braces her whole life. And when he finally came out to her, she said, why would you choose this? And he was like, why did you choose those braces? Like,
yeah, that's a good thing to say.
I don't know that changed her mind, but over time she became different. But
good.
That is brutal, man. I like to watch that stuff because I can't really compare any experience I've had to it.
The living in sin just for loving who you love, which is like the most insane thing ever. Yeah, especially when you see it in the animal kingdom. It's like so everywhere. It's part of just the natural world. Yeah. It is.
I know.
It's our stupid, like, labels and systems, and
I always say to my mom,
that
like,
fucks it all up.
And people that I know that believe this thing, I'm like, if you're going to have sins, if you're going to believe certain things are wrong, there has to be a victim. Period. It can't just be because I said so.
Yeah.
Like if I steal, it hurts someone. If I murder, it hurts somebody.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for someone to tell me who the victim is. And then the only thing they can say is, well,
relationship.
Your life is harder. Yeah, because of you.
Right. It's the straight people who make it harder.
So I'm still waiting for an explanation about that.
Yep,
no one's gotten back to me yet.
Very good question.
If you have an answer, please slide into my DMs. Yeah. Thank you for your patience, Sarah, during the blackout.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's fine. I got to change out of my sweaty shirt, so we're all good. New costume.
And thank you all for listening and using our codes. We love you with all of our heart.
And we'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Bye.